Say this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. This is just a good example. And this leg is 10 root 2. And I want you to find the hypotenuse. All right. Go ahead and write down the formulas for the 45, 45, 90 triangle. And that is hypotenuse equals leg root 2. And all you have to do is just substitute. So the hypotenuse is x. That's what we're finding. Your leg is 10 root 2. And of course, you're going to bring down your root 2. So let's solve for x. 10 root 10 times root 2 times root 2 is 2. So x equals 20. Let's go back to root 2 times root 2. You need to remember that every root times itself, like root 2 times root 2, that's going to equal 2. Just like if you had root 7 times root 7, that equals 7. You could have root 149 times root 149, and that equals 149. And the reason, of course, is just your simple math. Root 2 times root 2 is root 4. And what is the square root of 4? 2. Square root of 49 is 7. So that's why I automatically knew that root 2 times root 2 is 2. Okay, so make sure you remember that. All right, next, let's see, I have a 45, 45, 90. And the hypotenuse is 16, and they want you to find the leg. Go ahead, always write out the formula. Hypotenuse is equal to leg root 2. It just helps because we can substitute. The hypotenuse of this triangle is 16. The leg, that's what we're trying to find, so it's x root 2. So now you're going to solve for x. To get x by itself, we're going to have to divide both sides by root 2. I'm going to rewrite this problem so that your x is on the left. X equals 16 over root 2. We cannot have an irrational number in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by the conjugate, which is root 2 over root 2. Remember that if you ever have a square root in the denominator, if you would multiply the top and the bottom by this denominator, you get rid of it. So 16 times root 2 is 16 root 2. And then what did we just say? Root 2 times root 2 is 2. So now I have x equals 16 root 2 over 2. Now I will simplify. 2 goes into 16 8 times. Root 2. And your leg is 8 root 2. So that is the answer. 8 root 2. So these two legs will both be 8 root 2. Next we have your 30, 60, 90. I'm going to go ahead and label it. Like I said, these are just good examples. 30, 60, 90. We're going to find let's find the short leg first. I will give you the hypotenuse. It's 18 root 3. Most times they'll ask you to solve for x and y. Always, always write the formulas. So for the 30, 60, 90, we have hypotenuse equals 2 times the short leg. And we have long leg equals short leg root 3. Now, I usually just use S, but we tend to get that mixed up with S with a 5, so I don't do that. But we have hypotenuse equals 2 times the short leg. All right, so we are given the hypotenuse if you look at the triangle. So let's use this formula. You can only use work with what you're given. All right, the hypotenuse is 18 root 3 equals 2 times, and the short leg, that's what we're going to find, is x. So let's solve for x. To get x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And x equals 2 goes into 18 9 times, with your root 3 left behind. So your short leg is now x equals 9 root 3. So that is your short leg. So now we can find the long leg. If you come over here and you look, your long leg is y equals to short leg. We now know the short leg is 9 root 3 times root 3. So I have 9 times, what is root 3 times root 3? It is 3. So your long leg is equal to 27. So your short leg is 9 root 3, and your long leg is 27. All right, I'm going to give you another 30, 60, 90 triangle. And I will give you the short leg. These are always the easiest. If the short leg is given, it is very easy to solve for the hypotenuse and the long leg. Again, your long leg is opposite from your 60-degree angle. Always, I don't care what, write out your formula. Hypotenuse equals 2 times the short leg, and your long leg is equal to short leg root 3. So we're given the short leg, and so that means we could use either one of these formulas first. It doesn't matter. Let's just plug it in. So looking at this triangle, your hypotenuse is y equals 2 times, and your short leg is 5. So your hypotenuse is 10. All right, your long leg, looking at this triangle, is x, and your short leg is 5, and you bring down your root 3. It is that simple. Be confident when you're working these problems, guys. You will use these special right triangles and your triples. You'll use those a lot too from your previous lesson. All right, our hypotenuse in this one is going to be 24. And short leg x, long leg y. 30, 60, 90 triangle. Hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg. And your long leg is equal to short leg root 3. Now, since we're given the hypotenuse, that is the only number we have here, you use the formula that has the hypotenuse in it, which is here, hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is 24 equals 2 times, and the variable for the short leg is x, 2x. And then you just solve for x. Use your basic algebra. Divide both sides by 2, x equals 12. So now you have your short leg is 12. So you're going to use your short leg to find your long leg. Your long leg is y. Your short leg is 12. We just found that out. Root 3. And that is it. Yes, it is that simple. So you would say x, the short leg is 12, And the long leg y is 12 root 3. All right, one last practice problem with your 30, 60, 90. Your long leg is 9. And don't forget, your long leg is always opposite from your 60-degree angle. Your short leg is opposite from the 30-degree angle. 60 is greater than 30, so the opposite side from 60 is going to be greater than the opposite side from 30. And of course, your hypotenuse will always be across from your right angle. First things first, write out the formula. Hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg, and your long leg is equal to short leg root 3. Since we are given the long leg this time, we will use this formula first. So your long leg is 9, and your short leg here is y root 3. So let's solve for y. In order to solve for y, you're going to divide both sides by root 3. Cancel. I have y equals 9 over root 3. Let's rewrite that so that y is on the left. I cannot have that radical in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by root 3 over root 3 every time. 9 times root 3 is 9 root 3. Root 3 times root 3 is 3. Of course, I have to simplify. 3 goes into 9 3 times. And you have your root 3 that comes behind it. So now our short leg is 3 root 3. So let's come over here and use what we just found to solve for the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is x. The short leg is 3 root 3. 2 times the short leg. And so now you multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. And of course your root 3. So your x, your hypotenuse, is 6 root 3. And your short leg is 3 root 3. And that is it for our special right triangle practice.